Stand by.
In Matthew 16, Jesus chastised the Pharisees who could interpret the appearance of the sky but failed to interpret the signs of the time in which they lived. Who are the Pharisees of our day?
This strong hold of sort of whiteness and white identity and pristineness is really part of what keeps us from making progress.
We need to do better. The church, rich in theological scholarship, has lingered in academic sanctuaries and ivory towers, failing to translate its lofty doctrines into a tangible and practical cultural apologetic. At the Worldview Youth Academy, we bridge this critical gap. Here, theological depth is not an end in itself, but a means to engage with contemporary cultural issues for the glory of God and the expansion of His kingdom. Our mission is to cultivate thinkers who can articulate and apply Christian truths within contemporary societal challenges. So embrace this call to worship God with all your heart, all your soul, and with all your mind. We will do better as this next generation tears down the idols of our modern culture and works to build a brighter future toward Christendom 2.0.
Non-rockabotus must stop. I don't want to rock the boat. I want to sink it.
Are you gonna bark all day, little doggy, or are you gonna bite?
You're being delusional. I love you, Jeff.
Delusional, yeah. Delusional is okay in your worldview. I'm an animal. You don't chastise chickens for being delusional. You don't chastise pigs for being delusional. So you calling me delusional using your worldview is perfectly okay. It doesn't really hurt. She hung up on me.
What?
Desperate times call for faithful men and not for careful men. The careful men come later and write the biographies of the faithful men, lauding them for their courage.
Go into all the world and make disciples. Not go into the world and make buddies. Not to make brosives.
Right.
Don't go into the world and make homies.
Right.
Disciples.
I got a bit of a jiggle neck. That's a joke, Pastor.
When we have the real message of truth, we cannot let somebody say they're speaking truth when they're not.
Take an amazing journey to a place that will blow your mind and move your heart so you will never be the same again.
How did we get here? How did we get here? What in the Alice in Wonderland nightmares is going on right now?
For that man, if you voted for anybody other than Kamala and you live in one of the states that it was, close, or if you didn't vote.
Senate race. It's not gonna happen. Go Kamala. Returning to the Senate.
I chose family. I chose women. I chose America. I love you.
All I've ever known politically is hatred.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. I'm just done with all of this.
I'm sorry.
Okay, tell us what you really think. Goodness gracious. It's been a wild, wild week. So there's some examples of the meltdowns that have been happening. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of the videos. And opening right now for Apologia Radio, one of my favorite verses, ask of me and I will make the nations your heritage and the ends of the earth your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron and dash them to pieces like a potter's vessel. Now therefore, O kings, be wise, be warned, O rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way, for his wrath is quickly kindled. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. That's Psalm chapter 2, everybody. And that's about Jesus. That's about Jesus, not any political leader like Trump or anybody else. That's Jesus as the ruler of the world. He owns the entire world, and the warning is to the kings of the earth to obey the Son. So this is Apologia Radio. This is the gospel heard around the world. Everybody, we're back now after being in Germany for a week for End Abortion Now, raising up churches there to save lives. Unfortunately, we were on the plane. When the election was winding up that night, Anyway, so we're going to tell you that whole story and get into it with you guys. Thank you guys for joining us today. I am Jeff, the Common Ninja. That's Luke the Bear.
What up?
Luke the Bear, who is not actually in the studio today. As you can see, he is in his underground bunker. He's coming to us from his basement.
Yeah, just in front of the Declaration of Independence.
That's right. Burr, burr, burr.
DC.
That's right. Well, Luke is he's right now not in the studio because he is loving his neighbors.
Thank you.
God's law is so good, and God's law actually has rules for those who are sick or diseased or whatever. They quarantine, and that's, by the way, what we were suggesting during the whole COVID thing is stay home when you're sick, follow biblical law. And he's home right now, staying away from everyone, even though he's not actually sick because he has sick family members.
Yeah,
and,
my whole
Yeah. There's a nasty virus spreading across the valley right now, and it's running its way through our church right now. So Luke is loving his neighbors and staying home. That's the Bear.
What up? Glad to be here.
Yeah, and then we got Conover right here.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Director of Communications with End Abortion Now. Everyone, go to apologiastudios.com. Go and check out all the past episodes of Provoked, Sheologians, Cultish, Apologia Radio. All is there for your listening pleasure. Sign up for All Access. When you sign up for All Access, you partner with us in this ministry, make everything we're doing possible. So if you've been blessed by teaching ministry, on-the-street evangelism, public debate, all that stuff, if it's blessed your life, it's blessed your life because there are brothers and sisters just like you who are part of this ministry with us. They do Apologia All Access. It allows us to do this ministry, to put more content out, to engage more with the cults and unbelief, and to put Christianity into collision with all other worldviews. And we also give you a bunch of extra content. There are full episodes of Collision there. There's Apologia Academy, just a bunch of stuff, including Apologia's Aftershow, and including Ask Me Anything once a month, a private stream just for you guys with me. Where we get to engage and answer and ask questions. And so all that's there. Go there. Don't forget to get your Bonson U account. And it is a free account, Bonson U. Get access to one of the greatest Christian philosophers and apologists in the history of the Christian church. His life's work is there for you. Seminary level education, absolutely for free, from one of Christianity's very best gifts to the church. And it's all there for you guys as a gift through us to you from the Bonson family. Big thanks to David Bonson for entrusting us with that. Here we go. So we went to Germany. This trip was planned for a year, by the way, and it was a trip to try, from our perspective, to meet with the churches, to meet with Christians from all across Germany and Austria, to raise the church up there, to bring the gospel into conflict with the issue of abortion in Germany. It's not happening there right now, and with the gospel, with the churches, but we've been able to, by the grace of God, get a lot of Christians together to start that work. And so that's why we went to Germany, and we're able to have some just amazing ministry there, met with them face-to-face privately. We also were able to speak on the issue a couple times. Huge blessing to be a part of that. But so I don't know if you get a chance to go to like Europe or Ireland or England or Germany, it's a rough couple of days to start. So like generally you have like a 6 p.m. flight leaving out of like Atlanta or Charlotte or New York. And then the flight, depending where you're going, to like Germany or Ireland would be like 8-9 hours, maybe 10 hours. And but if you think about it from Arizona's time, we were leaving out of Charlotte. It was like 6 p.m. That's only 3 p.m. Arizona time. And so if it's like an 8-hour flight, you're not sleeping on that flight. Like you're not doing it because it's only 3 o'clock your time. And so anyway, you run that flight through, but you land in Germany at like 8:30 a.m. or something like that. And so you have to, what we do, our strategy is don't take a nap. Don't go to sleep. Just stay up until that night as just do your very best to make it through that day, which is pretty difficult. And then, you sleep that first night, and hopefully you sort of catch up with the time zone.
By the time like 5 p.m. rolls around, you're going to die.
You are saying some silly things and acting pretty weird. Anyway, unfortunately, for the 7 days I was there, I don't know if I'm getting older or what, I did not catch up with the time zone. I slept only 3 hours a night every night that we were there, except the last night I got 4.5 hours.
That's brutal.
It was brutal. Luke, by the way, like night number 2, he's like, I slept 8.5 hours
Oh,
last
yeah.
night.
Luke has no problem sleeping.
The bear can hibernate.
It's a gift.
Anyway, so we're on that.
gift.
Yeah, we're on that flight, and I'm antsy because I want to know what's happening with the election, but I'm literally on the flight on election night, and I'm like, this is such a bummer. And by the way, I learned something new that I'm so excited to know now. Years ago, when the airlines were having Wi-Fi on the flights, I tried it, and it was so bad. I was like, this is
Like the
worthless.
signal was bad?
It was like to send a text message. Like it took forever to get the text message out. You could not stream stuff or whatever. So anyway, all these years I've been traveling since then. All these many years I've been traveling. I don't even bother with the Wi-Fi because I'm like, it's useless. Like, why even bother with it?
When did you find out?
So on this last flight, I found out because Luke comes to me close to when we're going to land, and he like taps me on the shoulder. He's like, dude. He's like, Trump is winning, like everything. And I was like, how do you know? He's like, I'm on a Wi-Fi.
It's like, it works great.
He's like, I've been watching the whole thing this whole night. And I'm like, no kidding. And so I popped on the Wi-Fi.
No kidding.
Yeah. So anyway, the last couple flights, I was like, Wi-Fiing it up. I was like, this is fantastic. It's like,
They've made some improvements.
the technology has changed dramatically. And so I feel silly. Like all these years I've been like, well, I guess I can't have access to anybody for the next 8 hours.
Can I ask you something I'm curious about? What's it like to have someone translate you as you're preaching?
Hard.
Does it break you?
Really hard.
Break your flow? I feel like that would really challenge me.
It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. And by the way, I will try to share on my page the message I gave on Sunday at church on the issue of abortion in Germany. Maybe for our German brothers and sisters that are watching this, that'll really bless you because it is, translated. You can share it with your German friends and family. But it's difficult. It's challenging because you got to try to figure out. So there's times where like where you want to go. And then you have to stop, and he's doing it in German, and then you forget what was my next step. Where was I supposed to go?
Yeah.
So I was doing it as much as I could on Sunday. You can see, like I was doing it like a sentence at a time.
Oh,
yeah. It was just like
you really got to have your words, like economy of words and all that.
That's the best way I can do it without really messing things up. Because in the past, when I first did it, you would do you'd almost run a paragraph. He would run his paragraph, and by the time he got back to you, you were like, what was I saying again?
Yeah, jeez.
Yeah, it's very challenging, but it's a blessing to the German people. They really appreciated the live translation. Anyway, so... I
didn't have a translator on Sunday, just so you know. I was speaking
I know, by the way, I
English.
saw it. Fantastic job, man. It was such a blessing.
Praise God.
So anyway, Luke does that, tells me, and so we're landing like as the night is wrapping up. And Luke, did we get a chance to see, did he give his speech? They announced him as the winner. Did he? I'm wondering if he had given his speech yet. If we saw that on a plane or what?
He was. That's right. He was just about to give a speech right when we landed, so the Wi-Fi shut off. Then once we landed and I got my phone kicked on, then I was able to catch the last 10 or 15 minutes of his speech.
Yeah. So we're on today to talk about Trump's election victory. And from our perspective, where do we go from here? There's probably going to be a lot of things we say in this episode that you agree with, a lot of things that maybe you don't agree with. And that's okay. We're brothers and sisters in the Lord. We need to maintain unity around the core essentials. And I know that, this has been a divisive subject even over the last 4 months over Trump. And the reason is, Trump did compromise publicly in many ways on the issue of abortion and even helped to get people on the Republican Party more to the center. And to the center, I mean compromised and willing to allow for murder under particular circumstances. And yeah, that came from Trump, the hero of the conservatives. And okay, I'll start by saying, am I glad that Trump won? I am ecstatic. Yeah. Ecstatic that he won. I am over the moon that he won. Do I think that he's just the hero that many people think that he is? No. I despise the compromise on the issue of abortion. There's a number of other issues where I think I'd love to see somebody with a prophetic voice in Trump's life that could speak to him and embolden him in certain areas with the law of God and justice and those sorts of things. I'm grateful to God, though, and here's why I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to God because He gives us 4 more years to work. I did think, and I'm going to kick it over to you guys right after this statement, I did think that if Kamala Harris won, I did think that that would be pretty much the end of the opportunity for us to have a legitimate election system. I did think that we would probably be at war with Russia or China, almost guaranteed, if Kamala won, because that's what the war machine wants. That's where they were going. You had Putin, saying out loud the thing you're not supposed to say out loud. I mean, even in the 80s, when it was like real tension in the Cold War between us and the Soviet Union, the thing you didn't do was you didn't say the word nuclear weapon or nuclear bomb. You didn't say it out loud. Like, you guarded that language because you just don't want to go there. And the fact that fairly recently Putin actually came out and publicly was talking about the word, he used the word like nuclear weapons, and he was using that language. I was like, we are on the verge of something really, really bad here. Why does everyone want war? Like, why? Why can't we be friends with Russia? Why can't we have a great relationship with Russia? Why can't we have friendships with all these nations? Why do we have to go to war? And so I love the fact that Trump was like, no more wars, like no new wars. And why can't we sit down with Putin and try to resolve this conflict and quit taking taxpayer dollars to pay for a war that no one knows anything about or cares about? Ask the average American. What's the conflict between Ukraine and Russia? Tell me the details. The average American's like, I have no clue. It's like, well, you're paying for it.
And your sons might have fought in it.
Yeah. And so I'm super grateful, so grateful it gives us 4 more years to work. It looked like the way that the left was going and the media and that leftist government was going, that it was going to stamp out free speech. It was going to have more oppression and persecution upon Christians and conservatives. I think if they gain that seat and they gain that power, we were going to be demolished as a nation financially. I do, of course, agree with the statement of Elon Musk on Joe Rogan when he said this is like the last legitimate attempt at election. He said because they have purposely put these illegals into swing state cities, and that's enough to get over the vote. They're gonna legalize them. They're gonna allow them to vote, and at that point, there are no more swing states. There's only blue states, and at that
nowhere
point,
to run.
At that point, there's no way for Republicans to win an election. And so, am I so grateful that Trump won? I am so grateful. I'm thankful for the great things that he said, the great things that he's done. However, I want to repudiate and encourage everyone to repudiate any idolatry related to any human leader. And you see it especially in Trump, with people, the way that they have treated Trump. And so, I will say, and I got to put this on record, after that first assassination attempt, I was really in awe of the fact that one turn of the head, at that 1 second, the providence of God, he's alive only because he decides to look up at the screen, and it's just sort of like, from his perspective, happenstance. Like, throw that thing up there. Oh yeah, and then
that's divine providence.
It's providence. And so I was like, wow. And then the way that he stood up and he was like, fight, fight, fight. I was like, that's a really great leader. That's a fantastic leader, because
gotta respect
if you get shot in the ear and almost had your head blown off, like, not everyone's going to react that way. They might just run off the stage and just try to, get away. But he, stood up and made sure he said to the American people, fight. And I was like, I like this guy. I like him. Am I happy with where he's gone on some issues and the compromise and the help that he's done to the pro-choice movement? I despise it. But we have now 4 more years to work so that we can abolish abortion in the next 4 years. And so I'm thankful. I think that the context God gave us is 4 more years to work.
I would just say real quick before kicking it over to Luke, 1 Timothy talks about praying for kings and those in authority so that they essentially leave us alone to live a quiet, godly, and dignified life.
Yeah.
Like going about the Christian evangel, like proclaiming, working, fulfilling the Great Commission. And man, I would much rather attempt to do that under this administration, because I think you're right. I think that media, independent journalism, free speech, like our ability to proclaim our message from our platform about one of the preeminent cultural idols, an abortion, like that would probably have gotten more difficult to do, if not the freedom to do so cut off altogether. So for that, I am thankful. I'm thankful to God for his mercy, and thankful that we have a leader, at least in the short term, seemingly, who will leave us alone so that we can do our jobs as Christians, as fathers, as pastors, as magistrates in the various spheres that God has given us to occupy. Are there concerns? Absolutely. And now more than ever, we need to continue to criticize our leaders and point them to consistency with the word of God, calling them to obedience. We can't let up for one moment on that. Just because he had a victory, he's still wrong on these positions, and he needs to be called to consistency. But I'm thankful for everything that's happening so thus far.
Yeah, I mean, for some reason, God has given his blessing to our nation because we certainly don't deserve it. And man, what a relief. I just couldn't believe it as I was watching on the airplane. He just, the way he was winning so easily from the beginning was just,
it was convincing.
It was incredible to watch. And but yeah, I was like, all right, Lord, thank you very much. We really appreciate this. I don't know why you're sparing us from that evil cackling witch, but we're grateful. And so now let's get to work. And so hopefully the church gets busy, because we had 4 years, well, not quite 4 years, 3 years of a good economy and stuff with Trump until COVID hit. And unfortunately, a lot of the churches kind of cruised through that, and you saw that once we hit COVID, then a lot of frauds were exposed. And so hopefully now with this another opportunity here, the church really gets to work and makes a difference for the kingdom, and we see some revival in our nation. I think the voting showed a lot where people are actually at in our nation, which is encouraging, very encouraging.
That was encouraging. Like my vote maybe still works. I don't know. Maybe
it counted this time. And suspiciously, a lot of votes disappeared from 2020. So it was somehow it's like you look at the numbers of like Democratic presidential candidates and the votes that they got since like the year 2000 or whatever. You're looking at a consistent number, and like even Obama, what was it, like 65 million or something like that?
Yeah. Biden got 81 million.
It's like in the 80s. It's like you really like the
We're
darling
15 to 17 million.
Golden child of the Democratic Party. Obama got less votes than Biden. It's like that's sus, as the kids say today.
They were saying, there's record turnout, but also we're missing 16, 17 million votes.
There's a lot of votes that disappeared, and
they can't both be true.
No, that's it's suspicious. It's definitely weird. Let's talk about one of the things. I'll get to the Elon Musk stuff and Robert Kennedy stuff, which I'm very excited about. But this is what I'm extremely happy about. This right here, this moment, Trump wins. And then Putin comments on Trump's victory. And I just want to play this for everyone because from my perspective, Christians should really want this. Like, we got to stop being those conservatives. It's like, go to war in America and like, let's fight everybody and fight, there's an evil dictator somewhere. So we got to invade his country and like, just like topple it and set up a new government. It's like, that's not the Christian worldview. That's not our job. We shouldn't be at war with these other nations for their problems. Like, we should have a defensive posture only for America, and we shouldn't be involving ourselves in all these wars and spilling their blood and our blood. And I think that's the way that the American country should operate and think. And so this to me was like, I was like, a huge sigh of relief.
Crisis averted.
Crisis averted. This was Putin's comments after Trump won.
It's going to happen right now during his new presidency, because this is going to be his last presidency. Whatever he does, it's up to him to decide. But what he's been saying publicly up until now, I would be loath to comment on what was said during the electoral campaign, because, that was a deliberate thing to fight for votes. But regardless, what he said about his desire to rebuild relations with Russia, to facilitate an end to the Ukrainian crisis, I think this deserves attention, at the very least. And I would like to take this opportunity to offer my congratulations on his election as President of the United States. As I said before, we're going to work with any head of state that is going to garner the trust of the American people, and this is what's going to happen in practice. And if he does what he has been promising, before the inauguration, if he makes a phone call, if he says, Vladimir, let's meet, I don't think it would be beneath me to call him myself. I'm simply not doing that because, at a certain point, the European Western leaders were calling me almost every week, and then they stopped all of a sudden, and you see we're still healthy, very well, we're developing. If anyone among them wants to rebuild contacts, as I said, we have nothing against that. We're always open. We will rebuild these contacts and have a sincere discussion. But so far, there are many people who want to engage in a discussion. They are here in this room. So you're willing to talk to Trump? Yes, we are.
Oh. That's so great. That's so great. It's so strange. Like a lot of these leftists and even conservatives, warmongers, like they paint Russia as like 1960s, 70s, and 80s Russia or Soviet Union, whatever. It's like, guys, things have changed. We're beyond that now. Like you can't keep thinking of Russia as the Soviet Union and like the Cold War era. We're beyond that. And if you have a world leader saying like, look, I sincerely want to have these discussions. I want to rebuild relations. Like, I don't want to go to war. Like, what in the world is wrong with that? Why is everyone arguing with that? You want to go to war with a nuclear power? I mean, Putin got to the point where he's being pushed last year to actually use the word like nuclear weapons or nuclear bombs and talking about that, like saying the thing you're not supposed to say out loud. And so for this to happen, like that was like, as soon as I saw this, I was, thank you,
I think
God.
there's a great deal of respect too there. I think he actually respects Trump, like as a man, as a leader. Whereas, if the Democrats would have won, I have a hard time imagining there would be a shred of respect from one side to the other.
Well, they're not respectable, so they haven't earned any respect.
Yeah. And a healthy fear too. Like nobody wants this. Nobody wants to go to war like this.
Yeah, it's insane. It's senseless to me. This whole thing with Ukraine, it's like, what's it got to do with us? What does it have to do with the United States of America? Why are Americans being forced to pay for a war we've got nothing to do with, we should have no involvement in? Why are we starting a fight with a nation that we shouldn't be in a fight with? We have no reason to be in a fight with them, and we could have a great relationship with them, a great trade relationship with them. There's no reason to be in a fight with them, and no reason to pick a fight with a nuclear superpower. Like, that's just insanity. Like, who thinks like this?
Can only end badly.
Exactly. And so I think we were on the verge. This election, from my perspective, I'm not a prophet or anything, but from my perspective, we were on the verge of a war with Russia, which could have led to a war with Russia and China. It would have just been a bad next 4 years. And so I'm thankful to God for that. So I respect my brothers and sisters that said in their conscience they couldn't vote for Trump this time because of what he said about abortion. I think you were being inconsistent there, because if you were going to uphold the law of God as the standard in terms of voting for a manager of the country, there are a number of other failures that Trump has that you would also need to point to. But I respect the position of Christians who said, I can't do it in good conscience. I'm not going to chide you for that or chastise you in any way for that at all. But however, I'm thankful that we're not going to go to war with Russia. And I'm thankful that Putin's like, hey, let's talk. I want to rebuild relations with your nation.
I think all of us can breathe a sigh of relief, even if you didn't vote for him.
And of course, this gets into the next part of the discussion. So two things I'll say. I do think in the providence of God, it's incredible that like the Babylon Bee issue is one of the things that led Elon Musk to buy X.
And if you think that didn't have something to do with a Trump victory,
that's my point.
You're crazy.
That's my point, is that the providence of God, it just read what happened. Okay. So Elon Musk loves the Babylon Bee. Funny enough, he loves the Babylon Bee. So Babylon Bee gets kicked off of Twitter. And so that was the thing, the catalyst. And there's an interview with him and the Babylon Bee on this issue. That was the catalyst, the real catalyst for him to say, well, then I'll buy Twitter. Like they're censoring free speech. They're doing it to people that I like. And so he buys Twitter. And I do believe that it's because Elon Musk bought Twitter that there was a space for people to actually have a conversation and communicate, and even for Trump to communicate, that wasn't controlled by legacy media or all of the people who are part of the deep state, which is very clear that there is one, and they couldn't control anything because they can't control Elon Musk and what he did on X. I think X had so much to do with Trump's victory, and of course even things like the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh yeah, that last stretch was
the Sean Ryan podcast, all that stuff. So like this election, like the first one that Trump won in 2016,
Right. Yeah.
was won not because of the national media. It was won because of private individuals who had their own platforms. Like that's where people are doing the talking now. The control is in the hands of the people, not legacy media. They've lost all respect of the people.
independent journalism.
Independent journalism shows, even like a platform like this, like people, this is where they're having the conversation. It's not happening there in legacy media, which is a really poor way to refer to them, by the way. They don't have any legacy worth noting.
And who are those podcasts and everything that he went on being watched by primarily? Young men.
Yeah. 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 The Joe Rogan podcast had how many millions in the first 24 hours? It was like 30 million on YouTube or something like that. And that's just, the numbers are astonishing. But yeah, so in the providence of God, you got like Elon Musk buying X. That led to some at least a platform to be free. Because we got censored, we got shadow banned on a number of issues during the Biden campaign and all that stuff, and the COVID thing, and you couldn't even talk about things without getting shut down. Like I did a message during COVID, and it was because of the vaccines. I had to, if you guys saw it, you'll note that we described it as Joe's Cookies.
Yeah, you couldn't even say that word.
And during the whole sermon, I did not mention vaccine. I couldn't use the word vaccine. I called it Joe's Cookies. And we had to do that on purpose to get around the censorship and the shadow banning, because they were even reading the speech in the video. And if you mention vaccine and all that stuff, like, you would get shadow banned. And so I had to just work my message by using code words. That's how bad it was. At least on X, you could do it now. And that's because Elon Musk bought it. So that leads to the next point about Elon Musk. One of the things I'm so excited about, it's like, why did it take so long for someone to think this and do this? Is Trump's talking about, by the way, did you see what it's calling it? I'm like, is that real?
The Doge.
The Doge.
Yeah.
And the Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, isn't that hilarious? Like, that's like in your face to everybody. So he puts Elon Musk in charge of the Department of Government Efficiency, and that all goes related back to the cryptocurrency, Dogecoin, and all that stuff. It's just funny they named it that. Department of Government Efficiency, where they're gonna strip the federal government of unnecessary spending, and they're gonna kill the waste.
I'm sure there's plenty of it.
And they're gonna kill programs that are unnecessary. I mean, we want, as Christians, to have a limited government that does only what government is ordained to do by God. And that's essentially to protect the righteous and to punish evil. We shouldn't have this insanely bloated government system where they have their hands in everything in the world and they control everything. That is not the role of government according to God. The role of government according to God, Romans chapter 13, is to protect the righteous, to punish evil. That's it. So you want to limit the government. And so I love the fact that they're putting Elon Musk and the other guy, forgive me, I forget the guy's name.
Vivek.
Yes, that's right. Putting him in charge of cutting these government programs of government waste and spending.
Which I think there's, 400 and something? 400 different programs?
Oh, yeah.
Government
Huge.
programs, federal programs?
I'm grateful to God for that, because like, we are so in debt and we have such funny money. It's fake money. And even the conversation that's passing around right now about ending the Fed, Federal Reserve, is like, if we can get back to the gold standard, get back to money being real money and not fiat currency, if we could find a way to do that, we might actually pull ourselves out of disaster. But we're trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in debt, and we have funny money and fake money. We've got to fix that. So there's conversations like that happening right now. I'm grateful to God for that. And Elon Musk was all involved in that. And I think Elon Musk was a huge part of Trump actually getting reelected.
Agreed.
Without him, I don't think it would have maybe even happened. And, of course, X is a big part of that. So you guys have anything to say about that? Because I want to talk about Robert Kennedy next.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, Trump promised from day one that he's going to open the pipelines back up. And that's going to mean the gas prices are going to go down, which means the cost of food's going to go down, and it's going to trickle.
Yeah.
Immediately. So we should,
Lord willing,
very quickly. Yeah, Lord willing, we should very quickly start seeing the much better economy, because we're all feeling the pinch of that right now, for
sure.
Yeah.
Just the last 4 years or so.
Yeah, it's been bad. The food prices, gas prices.
Every time you go to the grocery store, you're just depressed.
Rental prices. I mean, I was fairly recently looking for an apartment for a family member that we needed to care for and get closer to me. And looking at apartments in my area that weren't even great apartments, they were not nice, nothing to write home about, and just like a single 1-bedroom, we're looking like $2,000 a month, somewhere around there with costs, and it's like that doesn't even include electric and all the rest. It's like, what happened? This is insane. How people are surviving this? It was bad, and I think under a Kamala Harris dictatorship, it would have been way, 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 way worse. And so I'm thankful for all those things, the way we're going to have some breathing room financially, hopefully, God willing. It seems like God's
Please,
giving us
Lord,
that grace.
thank you.
Please, Lord. So I'm so thankful for that. So are we glad he's been elected? I'm praising God that he was elected for sure. Gives us more room to work. But that leads me to the next thing. Very excited about the Robert Kennedy thing. I of course have very, very violent disagreements with a lot of what Robert Kennedy says. Yeah. But I've been watching him for years. I've known about him for years, and I've been super thankful for the guy for years. His bold stand against just evil organizations like Monsanto, and his stance against the kinds of things they're putting into the American food supply, the chronic disease epidemic that we have in this nation in America, obesity rates, metabolic syndrome. I mean, all these things, the ADHD, all of these these diseases and chronic illnesses that did not exist a generation ago. Right. It's just common fare now. Everyone's got it. Everyone's got this problem. Is something that has to be addressed. And you look at the food supply and what people do to our food and how we're poisoning our children. Yep. It's a significant issue. And you've got Kennedy fighting against these evil companies like Monsanto. Just research, look up Robert Kennedy and Monsanto and look at some of the stuff that he's done on Monsanto and talking about the just wicked practices that they have employed to put farmers out of business, to poison us. It's evil. It's horrific. The kinds of things that they've created that go global, that they put on our food, and we're eating this stuff, and you watch that when they create this new pesticide, you watch these chronic illnesses from the moment they put it in the food supply, you see spike of these particular illnesses and the things that they're doing. To have somebody finally say, hey, I know that Kennedy wouldn't frame it this way, but kind of does, hey, we have to love our neighbors. And this is hating your neighbor by putting poison into their food, things that could cause nervous system issues, things that could disrupt their metabolism, their ability to metabolize, things that just cause cancer. Like, you shouldn't be allowed to put this in food. In a Christian nation, you would think that way. You'd say, no, you're not allowed to poison your neighbor here. That can't go into the food supply. You can't put that into your food because that can hurt somebody. It can cause a disease, and so you can't do that. You got to use something else. And it's so strange to me. I've always thought this is just so weird. You look at, we were just in Germany, and in Europe, you have so many things that are banned, and you cannot put them into food or candy in Europe because of what it does to people's bodies. It will hurt them. We allow it over here. So, for example, let's take something just far into the spectrum. Sour Patch Kids. Awesome. I'm not. God. By the way, I've stopped eating sugar. Really, I've taken it out of my diet completely. But
you went to Germany.
Yeah, but still,
that's different.
A treat. As a treat, you have a Sour Patch Kid, right? I'm not endorsing people putting these levels of sugar in their kids and all the rest, but it's a treat and all the rest. It shouldn't be something you do every day. But Sour Patch Kids over, you go to Ireland, you go to Germany, these things they're colored with carrots and beets. Wow. You get red color and these other colors out of natural.
Not from yellow number 5.
Yeah, natural food
and all that.
And so you can feel at least good about this treat. I'm not giving it to them every day. It's a treat, but it's a fun thing to do, special occasions kind of a thing, and it's not going to poison them. So how come the Sour Patch Kid company in America still continues to put all the dyes that are proven, absolutely proven, to disrupt our children's bodies and their nervous systems.
I know why. Because they want us sick, and they want us connected to an infinite supply of pharmaceuticals so that they can make money off of us.
Is it a circle? Is it a cycle that we're in, right? Yeah. Is we can create a lot of sick people.
How do we have sick, fat, depressed, lazy, anxious populations that are easy to control?
Yeah. How do we feed the healthcare system and the pharmaceutical system? So anyway, fun thing going to Germany coming back is I got to get some treats for my kids. And what are you showing there, Luke?
Some Bueno chocolate.
Are they Bueno?
I came back with 2 carry-ons full of chocolate.
Yeah. Yes.
It's so much better there.
I know. It tastes so much better, higher quality.
Chocolate.
And so all that to say, I'm also thankful for the slogan, Make America Healthy Again, and the fact that he's putting Kennedy in charge. I cannot tell you the impact I believe that's going to have on our nation, and I'm just so glad finally someone cared enough. Finally, someone in government had enough sense to say, hey, if our duty is to protect the righteous, we have to actually address these companies that are harming American citizens. You shouldn't be allowed to create poison and to put it over food that goes into our bodies that then causes our children to be harmed or causes us to be harmed. You know, you look at some of those old videos, you've seen those videos, the old videos from the 60s or whatever, like a boardwalk, people are walking around, and you look and you go,
why does everyone look so healthy?
Why does everyone look so healthy? And
they're all skinny.
And they're all skinny. And what happened? Because you take the same frame or view of today, the same boardwalk, and you're like, wow, a lot of unhealthy people, a lot of sick people, a lot of people who, like even obesity is common today. It's common, absolutely common for you to be obese, even in children. And you look back a generation ago and you go, you know what? There wasn't a problem then. Obesity was much smaller number. And how come? Why is that? Is it just we decided just all of us just to get this way? It's like, or have we been disrupting our system to where we can't metabolize things, and we're getting these fatty livers that can't metabolize fat the proper way, and we're just everything that we eat is filled with processed sugar, and you're just going to gain weight that way because your body is always, if you have a sugar in your system, it's always going to burn the glucose, the sugar for energy, rather than the fat. And so if you're filling your body with all this stuff and it's in everything, like try to buy something in the store that doesn't have, cane sugar or high fructose corn syrup or something like that in it. It's just, it's crazy. And then you get into the whole discussion of like seed oils. Seed oils are a fairly modern innovation. And by the way, I didn't know we were going to go here in this, but I guess it makes sense with the Kennedy thing. Seed oils are a fairly modern innovation, and highly encourage people to research that, the issue of seed oils, where they came from, how they started to get into our food supply, how everything is cooked in seed oils now, and just how toxic and deadly this stuff is. It is poison, toxic to our systems, and it's just common now. I just love the fact that you have people caring enough, and no one's giving you a diet here. Like, I'm not suggesting a diet for people to take. Like, here's your diet you have to all be on. That would be silly. But I am suggesting that we shouldn't be allowed to poison our neighbors. I am suggesting that we shouldn't be able to give toxic things to our neighbors and to sell it to them as a good thing. I think that's immoral and that's wrong. And I think if it's demonstrable, like seed oils, the kind of destruction, the havoc that wreaks in our systems is you can't dispute it. It cannot be disputed. They are not healthy. They are toxic to our systems. And the fact that it's just now in everything and you can't get away from it, that needs to end. And so I am grateful to God, even though I have very violent disagreements with someone like Robert Kennedy on a number of issues, that you have a person who's actually being put in a position of authority in government that's going after these companies. Like Kennedy announced publicly as soon as the election was won, like, FDA, get ready. Keep your records straight and just know we're coming after you. And I was like, oh, praise God for that. And like even things like he was saying, like the FDA makes it so difficult for Americans to be able to get their hands on life-saving or disease-destroying medication because they can't they can't create a patent over it or like make a ton of money off of it. So they'll keep this stuff away from American citizens that can literally save their lives and destroy their illnesses. because they can't get control over it. They want control over it so they can sell it.
They just hate us.
And so he says he's putting an end to that, and I'm like, well, praise the Lord for that, and he's going to go after the kind of toxins and poisons they're putting into our food supply. And I'm like, finally, this is happening in our nation. Thank God for that. So I am grateful to God for a Trump presidency, even for someone like Robert Kennedy, for someone to finally take a stand against these companies and say, no more. You can't poison us anymore.
I feel like a lot of his cabinet appointments are in that same vein. Like, we're not playing. Like, whether it was the immigration guy that's talking about the massive deportation efforts.
Yeah.
Everyone that he seems to be putting on is youthful for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, this is a youthful wave coming in, and all these, the Democrat side's freaking out in a lot of these ways too. But food is a big issue, I think. But how about education?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you were going to play something on that, but
yeah.
Just this idea of parents having ownership of their children's education again.
Yeah.
Like, if that isn't seeking the common good of your neighbor, then I don't know what is. You're basically telling mothers and fathers, no, this is your job. Not saying you need to exclusively homeschool, but, it's up to you how your child gets educated.
Yeah.
And we're going to encourage a network and a system that promotes that. We're not going to work against that. We're not going to bring down suffocating whatever on top of you to restrict it. We're actually going to encourage it because we think it's a good thing.
Yeah, grateful to hear that he's talking about destroying and doing away with the Department of Education at a federal level. He's talking about giving it back to the states. I would just say let's do away with all government education, period, full stop. But at least he's having that conversation and saying to people like us, I'll support your homeschooling and classical Christian education. I'll support it even financially.
He's friendly to it.
Tax breaks and all the rest. That's like, that's such a relief. Do you think Kamala Harris would have done that?
Yeah. Do you think she would have been like, you know what? Let's recognize all those hardworking homeschooling families that sacrifice so much for their children.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
They'd love to destroy homeschooling because they know that's one of the ways that they're losing their power. But you mentioned also the people who he's putting into positions are just bold, and it's like, thankfully, finally, someone's bold enough to stand against these people. Here's an example of this is the name slips me at the moment. This is Trump's lawyer Mike Davis talking about this is after the election. By the way, there's a little bit of a naughty word in here, so if you have kids around, I can't bleep it out. It's just interesting that it's this bold.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights, and I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike.
There you go.
Sweetheart.
Well, yeah. I think he speaks for just the conservative people in general.
Right. Right.
We all they clearly stole the election last time. I'm not afraid to say that we had our people doing the audit here. So we've seen the evidence. So people are angry. They've had enough of all this. They've had enough of the woke agenda, all this stuff. And so he's just saying what everyone else is like, this pent up anger everyone's had for the last 4 years, so I love it. I love it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, how do you deny it? I mean, we're missing voters that just fell off the face of the earth.
Disappeared. Yeah, and Luke, I guess we can probably talk about that now. I don't know if we did. Did we talk about it publicly? The audit that was run here in Maricopa County largely was run by members of Apologia Church working there, and so we heard what was going on and the amount of ballots that they had to just push aside because they were not valid ballots, and there was a lot of them. They were just consistently pushing these things aside, like mail-in ballots that weren't folded. It's like, that's strange, and just
you have to fold it to mail it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like mail-in ballots not folded, and so there was evidence and all the rest, and so it's a big deal that the last election was what it was, and there's where those votes go, and I'm just thankful to God that we're where we're at today to get 4 more years to work. And it's from our perspective, you have to, as a Christian, not compromise, to speak the truth, to be prophetic in every area. And in the presidency right now, you look at Trump getting this position, and what we're saying is, look, we are seriously opposed to a lot of what Trump says, and we want to speak prophetically against that. We're going to work against it. I'm going to work against all of the compromise of Trump
and the Christless conservatism.
Yeah,
basically.
all the Christless conservatism, all the compromise of Trump over the issue of abortion. I am going to fight against that and speak against it prophetically without compromise. We're not buddying up. We think it is evil compromise, but I can still also say, praise God that he was elected and not Kamala Harris, because actually just the one of the issues that we're fighting against as a church, the issue of abortion, would have got much worse for us under a Kamala Harris regime. And so I can say without compromise that I am thankful that he is the president for a number of the great positive blessings we're going to get. We weren't electing a king, and we're not in a place as a nation where I think that we are Christianized yet. To be able to be a little different in how we're voting for a manager of the country. I think that we had what we had presented before us, and I'm just going to say I'm thankful to God that he was elected. I'm so thankful, because I was seriously concerned for the future of our nation within 12 months of a Harris regime. I think they would have
probably been pretty quick.
In short order. I think they would have gone after proof. It happened. This is not speculation. In 2016, the legacy media freaked out after Trump won, because they had all the pollsters saying, well, it's going to be won handily by Hillary Clinton. All the pollsters are like, she's won this thing already. And then Trump wins, and they were like, what happened? How did we get this so wrong? And so it is a fact that all of the heads of these major organizations met after the Trump victory in 2016, and they were asking the question, how did this get away from us? How did this get won? And the answer is it got won the same way it did this time, privately. Like private platforms and all these things. So they took a number of the most famous talking heads, conservative talking heads that got Trump elected, and it was like Alex Jones, Milo Yiannopoulos, a number of them, and they said, well, these are the guys. Like, it was these platforms. This is who everyone was listening to. And I think it was within 30 days, they chopped them off. They canceled them off of every platform, even no explanation. They just killed them. I mean, they just effectively took away their platforms, and they did it in a unified way. They all worked together. They killed them all. And so they erased them. They said, these guys won the election for Trump, and so erase them. And they did. They effectively did. And in this election, I think that if Harris would have won, it would have been the same situation. They would have been able to say, I think if Harris would have won, they would have been able to work that way in the same way and say, let's erase everybody that got him elected. Joe Rogan, let's do everything we can to come against him. Elon Musk, whatever the case may be. They would have worked hard to erase these guys.
They said as much, too.
Yeah.
I mean, Kamala Harris is documented as saying, you can't just say whatever you want. You can't dispel, you can't put misinformation out there.
Yeah.
Right? It has to be monitored. It has to be regulated. It has to be... which is really just the regulation of free speech. Like, you can't say what you want. You're not free to, and we'll make sure of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some people are saying, and I would agree with this, and it's fun. You might actually say, well, how are you agreeing with that, saying you're grateful to God for a Trump victory? Some people say, like, I think that Trump's is more judgment on our nation, with like a Christless conservatism, some inconsistencies that abound in President Trump. And I would say, yeah, I believe that we are already a nation under judgment. We are a nation under judgment. And having a person like Trump, I think, is still in many ways a disciplining hand of God in many ways.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful for the lighter spanking. Does that make sense?
Right.
So I
got 2 swats instead of 4.
I can think in categories that there would have been an explosive spanking from God in a Kamala Harris regime, and then there's a bit of a lighter spanking with Trump that allows us as a church to continue to work more effectively with less persecution. And so I can work in both realms and say, yeah, I understand that there are things that he says and does in this Christless conservatism that are very concerning. I'll give you more to work with. I thought it was disgusting this Bible put out that Trump was advocating for, the God Bless America Bible, where he's like, and the Constitution and Bill of Rights are inside the Bible. I felt like vomiting on my phone when I saw it.
That's the definition of everything you try to distance yourself from like, Trump depicted as Jesus on the cross or something. Like, you're trying so hard to be like, no, that's no.
Yeah. So look, if we have friends and family in our church family in our chat right now that are like, no, there's just these inconsistencies. I'm going, yeah, I agree with you completely. And our nation is under judgment. And in many ways, I just view a Trump victory as something that gives us more space. It's not. It's like the difference between being grounded for 7 days in your bedroom and being spanked violently by your dad. It's like, I'll take the light grounding or whatever it is. We're still in trouble. Okay, so let me go ahead and announce that. We're still in trouble as a nation. And the only way back is repentance and faith in Jesus. None of that changes. This Christless conservatism needs to die a very quick death and just be buried forever. So we're not advocating, like many of you have seen, for this praise and idolatry of Trump. We're saying we're thankful to God we have more space to work.
Yeah, we know what we're up against, too. Yeah. We know that this is the ushering in of secular conservatism. And if it's allowed to go its own way and we don't hold our leaders' feet to the fire, then we're going to be facing pagan conservatism.
Yeah.
And the results of that could also be very disastrous too. But I think I'd much rather have the conversation with that administration.
Yes.
Than their counterparts that lost.
Yeah, I was just saying, I don't know if a good example is you guys saw who he picked for Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
So, Pete Hegseth. I didn't realize this till just today. I think I was listening to Cross Politic. He's a Christian. He goes to a CREC church. He's going to be the Secretary of Defense. Like
classical education, loving.
Yes. He's been on shows talking about how his kids are classically educated, all this stuff. He was just on. I started listening to it today. He was just on Sean Ryan talking about the military-industrial complex and the war on warriors, right? What have we been doing for the last 4 years, fighting the Biden administration on the war on warriors? Like, so this guy is all against that. He's going to be really good for Stand With Warriors and that fight. I mean, so like that's just an example of, again, God's mercy on us. Here's a very important position within Trump's cabinet that's a solid Reformed Christian.
That's fantastic.
Above the law of God. Like, the opposite is a warmonger in that position. So very good, Pastor Luke. We would see that as a mercy on our nation. We'd see that as a mercy, an undeserved mercy, and we're thankful for that. I think we all should thank God for that mercy on our nation. And then maybe that's what I'm trying to communicate the most is all of the concerns that I have for the Christless conservatism, all the concern I have for the compromise. It's when we see this election victory, we're saying thank you, God, for your mercy. Thank you, God, for giving us a little more space and giving the church a little more influence. Because if you have someone like that around the president, you've got someone who knows, if they're part of a CREC church, you know their doctrinal position, you know their profession of faith, you know what that man has to think and believe to be a part of a CREC church. And so you're like, well, thank God you have someone that is doctrinally solid that can be speaking to him about the gospel. And by the way, I have personal knowledge of people who are around Trump very close, as within arm reach of him, who are with him every day, that are also fans of Apologia Radio, listen to us all the time. And so I'm thankful for that we have people who are around him that can speak into his life, that also listen to us and hopefully have some good theological things to share with the president. And if you're listening right now, you know who you are. And so I think this is just a time of mercy that I'm thankful for. And I'm looking forward to many of the things that have been promised to start to get underway. So we can heal a bit in some areas, and again, just give us more space to work. That's what I'm thankful for. Yeah, exactly.
How much time have we been going here for?
I don't know. I don't have my timer going.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I wanted to ask everybody for a couple things. Prayer. Be in prayer, if you would, for what's coming up next session. Many of you guys have been a part of this with us. End Abortion Now, getting these bills of equal protection and abolition in, going out to save lives at the abortion mill. So much is happening there. Next session, we've got a number of bills in a number of states of equal protection. And we need your prayers for that. And when we announce these states, we really need you to come and show up and be with us. So, like, if we get a chance for one of our bills to get a hearing in a particular state, I'll announce it. And if you would, if you're in that state, come be with me. Come hang out with us to testify on behalf of the bill. If it gets to the floor, we're going to need the help of the church in that state. So that's coming next session. Be in prayer for that. And if you could, please go to endabortionnow.com to give financially for the work. We have a number of states that we've gotten a bill in. Then there's other organizations and pastors that have gotten their bills in. We're going to support them. It's amazing what God has done through a very small movement with very limited dollars. It's been far more in terms of justice than the pro-life industry has done in 50 years of Roe versus Wade. And so we're grateful to God for that, but we do need your support. We need your hands, we need your feet, we need your mouths, and if you would, give financially as well. Help us to meet our budget goal for 2025. Endabortionnow.com is where you go. And it was weird. I was somewhere recently, and somebody came up to me and had this whole conversation. They want to get involved. They were like, is there any way that we can do what you guys do at the abortion mill? And I was like, don't you know about End Abortion Now? And they were like, well, what do you guys do? I was like, oh, maybe I'm not saying it enough. If you go to endabortionnow.com,
doubtful.
Yeah, you can have your church sign up, and we want nothing from you. We just want to give everything away. So you're going to get video training, you're going to get resources, all for free, everything given to you as a church, so you can do the same work that we're doing in Arizona, and also it's happening across the country. The lives that are being saved every single day as a result of the work of End Abortion Now and training people up and equipping them. So you can get your church to start, and you can start going to save lives at the abortion mill. I think we just had a save this week, didn't we, here in Arizona? Mm-hmm. Or Salt Lake. They had one, Apologia Utah had a save in Salt Lake. So do that. And I want to point everyone, you see this black patch I got on my arm right now? So thankful for this. I'm wearing it. Especially after the rough week that I had, getting myself rebooted. Research, go Google search NAD benefits. NAD benefits. You're going to see all kinds of great stuff on that. Go watch some YouTube videos on NAD benefits. It's used in so many different processes in your system. They call it the fountain of youth because you have an abundance of it when you're young, and then you lose a bunch of it when you're older. It's responsible for so many biochemical processes in your system. And however, people doing it through IV will tell you that the drip is extremely painful and hard to get through. For some reason, NAD is just very difficult as a drip. But our guys over at ionlayer.com figured out a way to do it with a medical patch. High dose of NAD goes through a medical patch, gets into your system with no pain. And so if you want to focus on longevity and wellness, go to ionlayer.com, type in Apologia in all caps in the coupon code. They're going to give you a hookup, you a discount, and they're going to bless and help the work and ministry of Apologia Church. So NAD, research it, then go to ionlayer.com, ionlayer.com.
Also, check out heritagedefense.org if you want your family to be protected from any three-letter agencies that show up at your doorstep. Have peace of mind by knowing that you can have access to an attorney that is on call 24 hours a day to defend you and your parental rights. Get in touch with constitutional attorney Bradley Pierce, again at heritagedefense.org, and get your family protected. Luke.
And of course, we got our good friends at Amtech Blades. I got my Northman X here today to show y'all. I love this blade. It's amazing. AmtechBlades.com. Bill Rapier, a faithful brother, legendary dev GRU operator, started that. We love him. You can go to AmtechBlades.com and put Apologia in the coupon code and get 5% off your order, and they will give 5% to End Abortion Now to help save babies. And then, of course, we got our new sponsor, which I didn't have the stuff because I'm at home today. But Rooted Pines Homestead, you can go to rootedpineshomestead.com and put Apology in the coupon code there as well. They got some really amazing products, and we're excited to be partnering with them. I know hopefully you guys can get some cool Christmas presents between their their wood toys for kids, and also their tinctures that they make. So super excited to be working with them. And I do want to mention, it's coming up here very quickly. We're going to have a Black Friday coupon code for our store. So be looking for that if you're looking to get Christmas presents for your family members. We got all kinds of sweet shirts we're adding. I'm trying to add some more here before Thanksgiving as well, in time for Christmas. So be looking for that coupon code. And yep, that's what I got.
Also, an Apologia shop. Don't forget, pick up some pre-sip coffee, because the best part of waking up is pre-sip in your cup. And you can also get access to the tracks that Apologia Studios and Apologia Church uses on the street for evangelism in a variety of different areas as well.
That's right.
We got those new Spanish tracks in too. I don't remember if I put them up or not last time when we were in there.
You did, I think. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I couldn't remember. That was the general one, right?
The Gospel of the Kingdom, yeah, or what is God's good news? Yeah.
In Espanol. Praise the Lord for that. All right, everybody, we're going to head over a quick after show. So if you are all access, we want to spend some time with you as well. So go to apologiastudios.com, sign up for all access. If you are all access, we're going to go for the after show for a few minutes here afterwards. We're going to play actually through some clips of where Trump talks about the plan to dismantle the deep state and how to protect children from left-wing wokeism stuff. Really cool conversation to have. So we're going to head over there, have that conversation. Meet us over there in just a moment at Apologia All Access. And that is Luke the Bear.
So,
I'm Jeff the Coleman Ninja, and that's Zachary Conover.
Later, guys.
Director of Communications at End Abortion Now. I love you all. Thank you guys for being a part of this ministry with us, and we'll see you at the after show.